today we are talking about something different. In fact, today we're gonna talk about nothing. The nothing phone, of course. So nothing phone 3 just released, and well, let's just say the reception was not that good.
Imagine my disappointment when I found out that their first true flagship is not quite a flagship.
The point is, when you charge that amount of money, you're going to get compared to those phones. And one of the top comments on my review was, this is a terrible phone for $799 and a great phone for $499.
Oh, brother!
Phone 3
stinks!
I've always been a big fan of Nothing ever since the phone 1 came out, and I've been following them through phone 2, phone 2A, phone 3A. I've been following them. I have to say they have been improving in some parts of their phone, because Nothing phone has always been weaker on the hardware side compared to the software. Nothing phone software has always been super duper good, whether it's the aesthetic where it used like black and white and the red accent, whether it's like the minimalistic style of it and how smooth and easy to use, no bloatware. I just love the UI. The experience of it is amazing. The software is amazing. But the hardware, the only good thing about the hardware is the design. Aside from that, cameras, the screen, the materials, the battery is not that good. And we can all accept that, we can all agree on that. Even Nothing themselves agree that their hardware isn't that good. We have all been able to tolerate it because the price point is, you know, somewhat justifiable, and it's okay because they're not pricing it like a flagship, because they understand their spec is not up to the standard. Now comes Nothing Phone 3. I was excited for the phone because I was thinking that finally we get to see how Nothing Phone does flagship, like an actual flagship. Because when Nothing Phone 3A and 3A Pro was released, I was amazed with what they can do at that price point. Because for that price point, you're getting a telephoto camera, and for 3A Pro is a periscope camera, and then like the software, the hardware is all pretty good for that price point, that mid-range price point. So I was thinking that, okay, with more budget and more money put in it and more effort, I'm sure they can do so much more better in Nothing Phone 3. And they did. But see, there's a caveat. There's always a caveat. But it's just not worth the price. It's not worth $799. Nothing Phone 3 is not worth $799. They are using a last gen chipset. It's the 8S Gen 4 instead of the 8 Elite chip, which is disappointing because you're paying $799. And some might say, you know, it's not that much of a difference. You know what? It actually is. Because even with a 5150 milliampere battery, the battery lifetime only can last like 15 hours.
The results were quite surprising because the Nothing Phone 3 lasted half the time that the OnePlus 13 did, while playing the same downloaded video over and over the exact same conditions set up on these phones. We're talking just 15 hours from the Nothing Phone 3 versus almost 30 hours from the OnePlus 13.
The battery life is not as good compared to phones that use the latest chip. And let's not forget, you're charging $799. I know most people don't really need like more than 15 hours of like screen time, and I know most people don't really need best chipset, but you are charging $799. Just because people don't need it doesn't mean you don't give it, because competitors are, and when you're not giving it, people are just going to buy some other phone. Psst, psst. At time. Shout out to Blacklight. They make premium gaming chairs and desks. The desks and chairs not only look good but also feel good. Even after hours of streaming, editing and playing games, I still feel comfortable sitting on my chair and my desk. So if you're looking to upgrade your setup, please check them out. Use code Kozaru to get 10% off anything on their site. There is also a link in the description, or just type blacklight.com/Kozaru. This will also help support the channel directly. Anyway, back to the video. And let's go to camera. The camera is okay, better than all of the Nothing phones so far, but it's not $799 okay. It's not as good as Apple, it's not as good as Samsung, it's not as good as Pixel. The camera, the photos are pretty okay, but when you put it next to, you know, the other flagship, it looks not as good.
The Phone 3 and the S25 opted for a more contrasty look with darker shadows, whereas the iPhone and Pixel kept things looking a bit more balanced. There's this one picture that I took of a tower where you can see that the iPhone and the Pixel's shadows are a bit less crushed. White balance seemed the most accurate on the Android phones, with the iPhone went a bit more of the green tone and the Pixel was the brightest overall. I was a bit shocked by this last one. I feel like the Phone 3 really missed the mark. The HDR tuning was a bit too overcooked, so the sky looked more purple than blue.
And not to mention the low light camera and the low light video looks pretty bad.
Especially in the video department, where low-light video can get pretty grainy pretty quick.
Maybe you can say, they can fix it. This is a software kind of problem. Probably like they can update it. But the problem is I'm putting 799 on the phone. And I expect it be as good as it's supposed to be on day one. I don't want to wait for like 30, 40, who knows how long for it to update and be better. Just adding a little bit more and I can get an iPhone 16. You feel me? Where it performs better. Adding a little bit more money and get a Samsung that performs so much better. Or maybe like a Pixel phone. Pixel 10 is coming out. Maybe I should just wait for that and buy that. You see what I'm getting at? Your phone is okay. It's the price point that kills it. The price point literally killed Nothing Phone 3. If this was priced at a lower price point, none of this matter at all. We wouldn't compare you with other flagship at all. You are not the only phone manufacturer. You are definitely not the only Android phone manufacturer. What got me a little bit pissed off is basically the latest Nothing video where Kaopei kind of review videos of people reviewing the Nothing Phone 3.
In March, when we released the Phone 3a Pro, everybody hated it. And then over time, but it didn't take that long. It took a couple of weeks. People started to love it. And now it's one of the best performing phones in terms of sales. I don't necessarily agree that we're doing something that a bunch of other brands have done before, because what they've done is basically take an existing display and put it on the back of the phone. Whereas for the Phone 3, we did something really custom, black and white, dot matrix. And now when we remove those lights on the back, then it seems like the world is falling apart. People learn to love the glyph lights. I really believe people are going to come to love the glyph matrix. They just need a little bit of time. When it comes to creating a really good smartphone experience, sure, the processor matters, but so does the camera, so does the display, the battery, its entire package. And when you pick a Nothing device, beyond that, it's also the industrial design and the software. So that's kind of how we think about it. Sure, if you have an 8 Elite, will some games perform a little bit better? Yes, 8S Gen 4 is the strongest chipset we've ever used. Maybe for, 0.1% of the population who need the bleeding edge of processors, it might not be the correct chip. We were never meant for the spec warriors.
And Kaopei was talking about, people are hating on the design, but they will eventually, like the design, just like the Nothing Phone 3a Pro. And then Kaopei also talks a little bit about the chipset, saying like, people don't really need the best chipset nowadays. You just need a good enough chipset. They were talking a lot about the design and then the cameras. And I just feel like they're just missing the whole point. People are never upset about the spec. Because if people are upset about the spec, then there will never be any mid-range. People are upset about the price point. You can't be pricing a phone like Nothing Phone 3 at a price that is almost similar to like an iPhone or like a Samsung and not expect us to compare you to a flagship. And now Nothing is trying to create a narrative where people don't appreciate like the chipset because people are crazy about spec, or people don't really like the design because they are not used to unique design. They're just avoiding the whole issue there, because the real issue is just the price. If they were to release the phone, like I said, $699, it doesn't even have to be lower than that. This would not have been an issue. And for any Nothing Phone fan or anyone that has always been, looking to buy a Nothing Phone, just get the 3A or 3A Pro. Those definitely have better value for your money. Anyway, like the video if you like it, dislike it if you dislike it, comment down below if you hate my guts, and subscribe if you want to see more shitty videos. Bye bye.